he was like, "Oh, like what are you listening to right now?" And I was listening to nothing more than Texas Hold'em. And I turned my phone over to him to show him, oh, I'm listening to like some Beyonce. And the second I turned my phone, I got a text notification that read, "I miss your cock so much." And whenever I turned my phone back over and I saw that, and then I just looked at him and he looked at me, he was just like 2172 too. And I was just like, hey everyone, welcome back to Looking. I'm Cole.
And I'm Alexis. Because listen, we don't travel.
We only host because whatever you've been looking for,
it's right here, baby.
Woo!
Oh, wait.
Woo! Well, thank you guys all for coming back for our second episode. If you tuned into the first one, I hope that you got to learn a little bit more about Alexis and I. And today we should have some pretty good topics. Maybe get into a little bit of dirt on our lives, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a little dirty, a little frisky.
A little
dirt,
say. A little bit frisky. Mm-hmm. Well, so listen up and settle down. Scratch that. Reverse it.
That sound like the Missy Elliott song.
No, that was the Willy Wonka thing.
Oh,
that Timothée Chalamet said.
I remember we went to go see the movie.
Yeah, that was fun. I actually ended up liking it, and I really didn't want to see it because it's a musical. And, like some musicals I like, and some I don't.
I know.
But that was actually really cute.
Mm-hmm, yeah, it was really sweet. I mean, I don't think it was anything like the first two movies. I mean, it was supposed to be a prequel, and I think they kind of like changed a little bit about his origin story because I think originally wasn't he supposedly like his dad was a dentist and didn't let him eat like candy or whatever.
Yes, it was like
the second
one trauma. I guess. Like the reason why he did everything was I mean, I guess in this movie was kind of trauma too.
But it was cute. So. The musical numbers did not annoy me. Timmy knows how to dance.
Yeah, we knew that.
And we're gonna go see him tomorrow. We're gonna go watch Dune 2.
Oh my god! Yeah, I forgot. We're gonna go see Dune 2.
I've heard has been lauded as one of the best movies.
Yeah, so. I think it still has holding strong. A 98%, 97% with like over 150 critic reviews. Yeah. So I'm excited to see that. Let's see if it like changes me profoundly, like in any types of way.
Yeah. Well, you know what actually did change me profoundly this week?
What?
The Wonka themed amusement park in Glasgow, Scotland. Can we talk about that?
The immersive experience they had.
Yeah.
No, it was actually kind of crazy. I think I pulled up. Let me pull up exactly what happened here right now. So, as you said, it happened in Glasgow, right? And I guess they said that they were promising to transport fans into a magical realm, but instead it just left the kids in like tears whenever they walked in. And somebody said that it was such a letdown that customers called the police and compared it to a meth lab.
I did. I mean, there's that particular picture of like the Oompa Loompa, the lady Oompa Loompa, just looking super distraught. Like
she didn't want to be there.
I'm just exactly. I'm just doing this to afford rent. Like,
and they probably didn't get anything more than $100.
Oh. Well, apparently she was gonna get paid $500 for 2 days, which is not bad. I'd be an Oompa Loompa for that money.
500, yeah.
And the fame, she's kind of like she's kind of like a D-list celebrity at this point.
We don't even know who she is.
Well,
we got to find her social media.
Female Oompa Loompa.
Maybe she'll be our first guest star.
Yeah, maybe.
Please welcome in Miss Oompa Loompa.
Yes.
Yeah. I was gonna actually, Anyways, but yeah, outside of that though, the organizer, his name is Billy Cole. Cool. I don't know how to pronounce that. Behind it, he said, "I'm really shocked that the event had fallen short of the expectations of people on paper. My vision of the artistic rendition of a well-known book didn't come to fruition. For that, I'm absolutely, truly, and utterly sorry." I think that's funny too, because he created the whole concept using like AI.
Yeah, like the poster was completely AI generated.
Yeah, like I don't know. I just feel like you can't really sit there and say it just didn't come to my own vision whenever you didn't even really create the vision.
Yeah. This reminds me of when I went to a Valentine's Day event last year. that was hosted by Recess. Have you been
Mm-hmm.
there? It's a bar in West Loop.
Yes, I have been.
Yeah, it's like pretty. It's a huge bar. It's really nice. Like um, look really great vibes. But they kind of like advertise it as kind of like a single mingle event. I mean, granted, Valentine's Day was Tuesday last year. So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
whoever's gonna come out is probably doesn't have anything else to do, aka me and my two friends. We're single as you know. But we went there and they gave you like a little sticker with a number, and they're like, okay, well, you know, if someone likes you, they'll like tell us, hey, sticker number, whatever. I like them. I want to buy them a drink, and then I don't know. I never got any drinks out of it, but anyways,
Mm.
the people that showed up to this event were, I mean, first of all, there was like what, maybe like a good solid 20 people, but it was a huge space,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it was just not giving. It was not giving at all. Well, I mean, then again, I mean, the ratio was off. It was mostly girls.
Yeah, that's gonna.
Yeah, and the few single men that were there were there with their girlfriends. I was like, why are you there? Yeah. So I don't know. It just this reminds me a lot about how right now I feel like we are seeing um, a surge in this like experience driven like consumption, like
Mm-hmm.
all these like the pop-ups with like the Van Gogh immersive art,
Yeah,
the Bridgerton pop-up. I
the
mean, there's
Disney
pop-ups
one.
happening. Yeah, there's pop-ups happening all the time, and it makes me think about how I don't know. It really makes me think about how these parents were probably like, oh my god, I'm really like treating my kids out to something special, like I'm gonna be able to like take pictures of them and like make them look cute and everything. And then they like get there and it's like Breaking Bad. It's a set of Breaking Bad. You know what I mean? Like, like.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm sure it has to be like, I mean, for the host and for the actors involved, just like a little bit embarrassing too.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely a day these children, hopefully, if their like memory is
Yeah,
already like attached to
that's a
them,
core memory. That's a
it'll
core
be a core
memory.
memory
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
I think, and then I guess they hired a stand-up comedian to play Willy Wonka, and he said, "It's a night I'll try to forget. Sadly, not only will I remember it, everyone I know will remember it too." So, it sounds like he'll have a bit of shame and guilt attached to him.
Down
He
the
was not the
drain.
shit. He wasn't the shit. He wasn't the fart.
He wasn't the shit. He was not the far either. So speaking of embarrassing moments, let's talk about other people's embarrassing moments because I know that we all have those moments where just we
Mhm.
it's like that 3 a.m. thought.
Oh my god.
Those is the ones that keep you up at night, the ones that make you reanalyze your life.
That's like
What
so
am I
real.
doing? You're like, what am I doing? God, like, why did I eat Taco Bell for the third time this week?
Is that yours?
Yeah,
That's one of
people are like
yours.
picking up themes on this podcast. Like,
Oh
is
my
he like a
god.
Taco Bell rewards member? I am. But
A sponsorship?
yeah, exactly. I'm always down
Uh,
for Mexican pizza.
yeah, but I mean, speaking of Taco Bell, there was a theme whenever we were looking at some of these embarrassing moments too. Who wants to go first? You or me? Whose embarrassing moment should we read first?
Go ahead.
Alrighty then, let me go ahead and pull it up. All right. So I was at a NF. This is not me, by the way. This is somebody on Reddit. I was at an NFL game, and something I had ate earlier had just wrecked my stomach and left me with horrible gas, like the kind which clears a room. It's so bad. I was walking up the stairs to my seat mid game and really had to let one rip. Right then, the crowd cheered, and I thought the moment was right. What I didn't realize is that my ass was at the same level as a woman sitting in her seat on the aisle, and I literally farted right in her face. I looked back at her, and she looked at me with shock and disgust. I quickly turned away and climbed the stairs as fast as I could and blended into the crowd. And I still think about her time to time and how horrible that must have truly been for her, and just cringe at how much of an idiot I was. So on like a scale of like not really that embarrassing to like 10, I guess maybe if it happened to you, like where would that be?
I think that would be like a solid 7.
Okay.
I don't know. I am on the camp of let it out.
Uh-huh.
Let it all out, poor child, because you have that backing up your system. Like that could screw you up.
True. I guess I also think of it from a perspective of like when we're talking about like something that is shameful or embarrassing or whatever, like is it some like is it gonna stick with you? Because I feel like in the moment, that's probably like a seven, you know, seven,
Mm-hmm.
8. But once they blended into the crowd, like it's over now. You'll never see that person again. So it's probably like really a one, you know?
True, true,
So I
yeah.
guess it's just depending on like, is this gonna like you said earlier, is this something that's gonna stick with you like in your 3 a.m. thoughts? I mean, I guess apparently it stuck with this person.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't get it because I have never farted in somebody's face like that. So,
If you start doing it, there's a market for that.
oh my god,
You can fart on a lollipop.
that reminds me of this guy's OnlyFans that I saw, and okay, no kink shame at all.
Oh, of
It's just
course
not
not.
really my thing, but yeah, he like likes to fart in guys' faces and will commission or like guys will commission him to do that. Um, and I just thought that was why. Can't you get like pink eye from that?
I've not heard that.
Oh well, you're the science gay, so
Oh, yeah, you're right.
pull up your embarrassing
Yeah.
moment.
So, this one's kind of relevant, but I'll talk about that later. Me and my cousin found a couple of dildos in his parents' place and started using them in sword fights. We were swinging them wildly, so no one seemed to notice what they were. My cousin was holding it by the balls, always the best. Well, I did the other way around as if I was using a club, and he knocked mine clean out of my hand right onto the living room floor. My aunt shrieked loudly, followed by the dog picking it up and running away with it as a stick. When we finally caught up with the dog, I asked my uncle what it was, and he said it was a cake mold, which made sense at the time. There were bite marks on it, lol. The dog went to town on that one.
Oh,
Dog had the habit of picking up anything we dropped and running it until we caught it. Rip Floofy, I still miss you. Rest in
oh,
peace, Floofy.
yeah.
He was
Rest
onto
in
something.
peace, Floofy. Floofy was
That
just
dog was a little fruity. A
Floofy was literally just
little
like
fruitcake.
sex positive. That's really
Yeah,
it.
love that. So
Dodo.
Slut Pop starts now.
Slut Pop Miami.
Yeah, exactly. But I
Wow.
thought that was really funny. And then I also thought this one was relevant. When I was in the seventh grade, especially relevant because as a gay man, I got assigned a project with the most popular girl in school. This was my chance to become her best friend. I invited her over to my house and I thought we could chill before jumping into the project. I thought the best way to impress her would be to show her the dance I made to a song from the new JLo album. She sat on the couch while I performed. We did not become best friends. Okay, I wonder what song it was. Dancing that away
You
on
know,
the
wait, wasn't there
floor.
like a what was that game called that was on the Wii and it was super big? It was called like Just
Just
Dance. Wasn't there
Dance,
like a
yeah.
Just Dance for that song?
I think
That's
so,
probably
yeah.
exactly what she performed.
Yeah. Well, what
Yeah.
he did,
Oh, he?
I guess he liked the girl.
Oh, oops.
I mean, I wonder what he's up to now.
Probably still thinking about that
He's
moment.
probably with his childhood bully. I don't know.
Mm.
I don't know. Did you see that? Did you see that tweet where it's
Mm.
my high school bully hitting me up years after on Facebook once he's realized that he's actually into men?
I did not see that, but
And
that literally
after
like doesn't surprise me at
really,
all.
yeah,
No.
no, I swear,
Oh my god.
yeah.
Well, I feel like those embarrassing moments, like it's one thing to be on the outside of somebody's embarrassing moment. It's another whole thing to be on like the inside, meaning it happened to you.
Hole on the
Because
inside. I get that.
yeah, speaking of inside, so my embarrassing moment, something was inside of me, and it's not what you're thinking. But okay, so this one actually, ugh, I can't believe I'm telling this for everybody to hear. This one actually happened kind of recently, and I actually don't think I told you about this one.
Oh, sure.
Um, it was on my way back from Kentucky. So this was literally like 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And, in the morning, we had to get out of the Airbnb pretty quickly. We left the Airbnb. And then while we're driving, I was like, damn, I got to go to the bathroom. So stopped at Target, went to the bathroom. And, can't believe I'm about to say this to give context. Had to go number two or whatever, did that thing or whatever on a super long road trip, wipe my ass and I go, right? That's it, whatever. Drive the rest of the way, stop at a tropical smoothie and a Qdoba, get some food, continue driving, walk through my apartment, get into the apartment, and tell me why I'm sitting on my couch and I'm like, what the is that on my ass? And I lift up and I put my hand behind my butt, and there is a long ass piece of toilet paper coming out of my ass and out of my pants that I've been dragging around all day.
That's your little tail.
It was, I guess I did. I was so embarrassed. And I was like, I'm just praying to God that my jacket, because it was a little cool, I'm just praying that my jacket was over it. And that nobody saw it all day. Because, like, oh my God, like, the friend that I went with, like, didn't say anything the whole day. And I feel like they would have. That was horrible. That was a horrible, like, realization.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at least no one, like, picked up on it. So it was kind of like an embarrassing moment for yourself.
We hope. Well, now the world knows. Yeah. So, but that's the only time that's ever happened. So please don't, like, think I'm a dirty bitch or something.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Do you have any embarrassing moments?
Yeah. Why is everything kind of like revolving around the perineum? Because mine actually does revolve. So it was maybe like one of the last frat formal for my frat. And I had taken 2 dates to my formal. I took one of my besties. I'll just say that her name is Shirley. She'll get the reference. And then I took this other boy named David. We came back from the formal really hammered. They basically, both of them spent the night at my place, at my room, in my disgusting little frat room. And then, so he, like, slept with me, and then my roommate, my friend slept on my couch. And then we wake up the next morning, and then she goes downstairs to, like, grab some food. We start getting into it, me and boy. And tell me why I was mid eating his peach.
Okay.
Guess who walks in? Shirley.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's still something y'all, like, talk about to this day.
Yeah. Huh?
I was just saying, is that still something y'all, like, talk about to this? That's crazy.
No, not so much. And then so she both caught us in action, and then I was like, oh. And then she immediately slammed the door, and I was like, oh my God.
I can see your face getting red right now a little bit just talking about it.
I'm like, oh my God. Let's finish up. And then, we finished up, and then I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And then she was like, that's the first time I've ever walked into someone doing the deed. And then I'm like, well, baby, that's a demo. That's just a demo.
You should have put a sock on your door.
Yeah.
I mean, hello. That was the
No, you're right. But yeah, it was it was just, oh my God, it was so embarrassing in the moment. And I just remember thinking about it. I'm like, oh my God. But honestly, like, if I, like, walked into, like, doing something, I would probably be like, yeah.
You think that?
You want some water?
I'm thinking about you walking in on me, and I'm like,
Yeah, I'm like, y'all want any water?
Please
or
get
anything?
the hell out of here. This is not Mean Girls. Yeah. I'm about to be a mean girl, bitch. For walking in.
Yeah.
No. Oh my goodness.
Moral of the story:
lock your door, put a sock on.
Lock your door.
Yeah. That's like really it.
Yeah, that's really it. Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, you know what? Instead of locking doors, how about we, like, I don't know, lock our messages or turn off the notifications? Because do you know what else just happened to me last week? Went to go pick up some food, went to a restaurant, and this one's kind of quick but crazy. And the guy at the register, who, mind you, was fine, but I do not think queer. And he was like, "Oh, like I had my AirPods on, the AirPod Maxes or whatever on," and he was like, "Oh, like what are you listening to right now?" And I was listening to nothing more than Texas Hold'em, and I turned my phone over to him to show him, "Oh, I'm listening to like some Beyonce." And the second I turned my phone, I got a text notification that read, "I miss your cock so much," and whenever I turned my phone back over and I saw that, and then I just looked at him and he looked at me, he was just like 2172 too. And I was just like, "Ching." I just paid. And then what made it worse was that I had to wait 15 minutes for my food. And I literally went up to the other people and I was like, "Hey, where's my food at?" Because I just wanted to leave. So
Yeah.
I'll never return there ever. Like never going back there.
Yeah.
And I will miss their tacos
Yeah.
dearly. Rest in peace.
Yeah. I'm sure he'll miss your too.
Ooh.
Oh. No. Oh, that's not.
Ooh, that's not. I think one thing that I wanted to dive into, or that we can dive into more, is talking a little bit more about like the difference between actual like shame, and then like guilt, because I think that that's something that we typically get like a little bit confused and we use interchangeably, when really there like truly is a difference in how I guess you should use it. So here, the differences between guilt and shame. Guilt is more of like a feeling of responsibility or remorse for some offense, whether that's like real or imagined. And shame is actually just like the painful feeling that is like arising from the consciousness of something dishonorable or improper done by oneself or another person. So guilt really like involves the awareness of having done something wrong, whereas shame can arise from it, but it's not actually like the same thing. It's more of like a painful feeling about how we appear to others and doesn't really depend on having done something. That's it. That's exactly what shame feels like.
Yeah.
But to give like an example, if you're like still kind of confused on those definitions, so if you said "shut the up," like damn,
sorry.
I'm about to throw that phone, and I'm really gonna be guilty about some shit. If you said something hurtful to somebody and like you meant it, then you can feel guilty because you see how it hurt somebody, but ashamed that you're the type of person that would do that. Does that make sense?
Got it.
Girl, you should feel ashamed.
I should feel ashamed
that you messed up my segment. No, but for real though.
No, that's true. I honestly didn't really think too deeply about the difference between guilt and shame until you brought it up, until you like looked at the definitions. When I talk about like guilt and shame, I actually think about this book that I read a while back. It's called The Velvet Rage. It came out in 2005 by a man named Alan Downs. He's a clinical psychologist and psychotherapist, but he really talks about how, a gay man's life is really split into three stages. So the first is realizing that, you might be gay. The second is really kind of once you're out of the closet and really just being around people, seeing how you have to actually mold into societal standards to be that gay who's accepted. And then the third stage being authenticity and just really living out your real intention, right? What you are actually here to do, your fulfillment, right? But one critique of the book is that it's really tailored towards affluent white gays, which we are not. But I would say is that like it really does dive deep into this kind of like notion that like a lot of what we do as gay men comes or is somewhat derived from that like rage and like rejection that we felt as children, whether or not it was present, whether or not it was conscious, it was still something that society, again, casts away as a difference, right? So this like need of validation or this creation of a false, more acceptable self, he says or he posits that we end up relying on methods to overcompensate for those feelings of
Mm-hmm.
validation. So, for example, just, you know, I must have the best job, I must have the best, partner, I must have the best car, the best possessions, right? And also he looks into the connection of how that goes into reliance on vices to cope, with all those feelings. Um, and really is just like when I think about anger and rejection, and I think about the nexus between those two, it's really angst, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
really angst. It's anger that being gay is unacceptable, that it's being unlovable, right? And this is where it just really connects to all of these kind of deep feelings of I guess shame, really. And I mean, depending on who you ask, people in marginalized sexualities are 2 to 4 times more likely to face mental health issues such as depression, body dysmorphia, eating disorders, and these differences just are magnified for people of color. Ultimately, I think the main takeaway from his book is that many of these feelings come from intricate webs of distinct systems of oppression that are imposed by society, being queer, being, person of color, being, from a different social class, all of these things, right, just intertwine. And I'm just curious, like, how have you kind of dealt with those feelings of shame as, as a gay man, like as a queer man? Like,
Mm-hmm.
are these things that you think about?
Yeah, well, I mean, if we're going off of both like guilt and shame and obviously talking about the differences, I think that, and maybe you and a lot of other gay people can kind of like relate to this, there's a lot of I guess having to heal ourselves in a way
Mm.
from feeling shameful, but I in no way feel guilt.
Oh, of course.
If I'm talking about like dealing with my feelings of shame, I think honestly, it's just kind of having to, I guess, recondition myself to know
Hmm.
that just being gay isn't shameful, especially
Yeah, of
whenever you think of
course.
it as like there's nothing you can really do about it. Like it is something that is just natural. It's not a
Hmm.
choice. Something that obviously we know more than gay people know more than
Yeah.
maybe some straight people. They
Yeah.
don't understand that necessarily coming from maybe like a household where they're like,
Yes.
why would you choose this?
Yes, of
But doing
course.
that and then also like surrounding yourself with people who don't see you as shameful. People who
Mm.
love you and understand you for who you are and everything, and actually know like your character rather than
Yeah.
just like kind of putting this label on you, on your the whole of you,
Yes.
and saying like, oh, this is who you are. You're
Yeah,
like
of
you're gay
course.
is like like your whole identity. Because
Yes.
I also feel like, is it a big part of who I am? Absolutely. I mean, you can
Yes.
see in this episode we've been real gay this episode, but like
Yeah.
it's not everything that I am, like I
Hmm.
am a successful businessman. I am a, young black individual, college graduate, I'm a brother, I am a son, whatever else, there's so much intersectionality in who I am. And I have to continue to remember that there's so many other parts of me that make me me and make me great.
Hmm.
And there's no reason to be ashamed of that.
Yeah.
Now, guilt, that's gone. I feel like the guilt more so came from feeling like it was like a sin or something,
Hmm.
especially having grown up within the Christian community and going to a
Yeah.
Christian school. The guilt came from feeling like, oh my goodness, this is a sin. I'm offending people. I'm hurting the Lord.
Yes.
Um, and now that I know that's not the case, yeah, that's gone. That's gone out the window. So
Yeah. Of
super, super
course.
easy.
Yeah. No, yeah, and I'm like not, just thinking also feelings of guilt just in general because we've all wronged people in the past, and especially
Mhm.
after like such a tumultuous year for me, I felt guilty for some of the things that I've done. I guess those feelings are, this it's an added layer of complexity being a gay
Mhm.
man and having to deal with these feelings of guilt because a lot of, I guess, a sense of double lives, right? The lives that we live fully are with the people that we've chosen, right? Our
Yes.
chosen family, right?
Yeah.
So whenever that gets kind of corrupted in some way, maybe by our actions, maybe by the actions of other people, it does, I think, fundamentally strike us more than
Mhm.
someone from the majority. Now, I think I've done a lot of processing over the years, and a lot of healing, and I think that it really come down to it is forgiveness, right? Forgiveness being the ultimate um, savior in this case. Forgiveness of yourself, forgiveness of others, and just seeing every mistake that may have happened in the past as a lesson.
Yep.
To carry you forward, and that's why I try to journal whenever I can, but I think journaling definitely cements it into my neural pathways in a way that I think maybe just being like, oh, okay, I won't do that again.
Yeah. Yep.
That's not a really solid promise, as my mom would tell you.
Oh, just saying that you're not gonna do it again.
No, because my mom would always be like, "Oh my God, you did this again! You did this again! You did this again!" And maybe that's just the untreated ADHD in me, but but as an adult, I think our actions have way, 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 way bigger consequences,
Yes.
and
When
but
we were
just
younger.
just forgiving ourselves is the most important thing at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially just making sure that we are doing so much in our positions, in our like intersectional
Mm-hmm.
identities
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
yay us,
Honestly, yes.
yes,
Yay
yeah,
us. And I mean, there's still
of
like
course,
a bit of a ways like to go too. Because I mean, for the most part, I feel like we've healed a lot. We've healed so much from where maybe like we used to be. But I mean, even now to this day, when it comes to like certain family members and stuff, I still don't say certain things or like maybe tone myself down because I'm not fully healed from that. And just
of
like you
course.
said, I don't want to be hurt from it. But hey, we'll get there. All just I guess baby steps, and hopefully the next
Hmm.
generation does even better than us. We've done pretty well for ourselves, but hopefully the next generation does even better.
Exactly.
Namaste.
All right. So just as promised, I have a new little segment called Alexis the Science Gay. Alexis, 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 Alexis. Woo! A little bit of Alexis. Ah. Anyways, so the topic of the day is rice. What do you know about rice? You like rice?
I
How are you
like
feeling?
rice. I like brown
Love
rice, white
rice.
rice, sticky rice.
You know how many years we've been cultivating rice as a human species?
Mm-mm.
9,000.
Hmm.
Basically traced back to the origins of the Chinese civilization.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's actually the most widely consumed staple food for over half of the world.
Yes.
How many varieties of rice do you think there might be?
I can only think of like 4, 5.
More than five, 40,000.
What?
Yeah. And guess how much of the world's total energy, in terms of like our caloric energy, comes from rice?
62%.
Okay,
That's a
that's a little
lot.
too hard.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
okay.
25%, but even still, 25% of all of our calories comes from rice. 500 million tons are produced per year, with the U.S. obviously using not the metric system, producing 20 billion pounds every year. And so with this new study that they've just released on in the journal Matter, they released it in on February 14th, Valentine's Day. It's very relevant once I show you the picture of the rice. So this study is coming from Yonsei University in South Korea, Seoul, South Korea. And so essentially what they've been able to do is that they've been able to grow stem cells from cows on the surfaces of rice. And how do you think they went about that? Do you have any guesses?
I'm not a science. I'm not.
I'm the no science.
This isn't Cole
No,
the
yeah,
Science
I
Gay.
know. Well,
I have no clue how they would do that.
so you have to have something to stick them on, right? You have the cells, you got to stick them onto the rice.
Hmm.
So the way that they actually use that is that they use a fish-derived gelatin and in addition, they use microbial transglutaminase to basically cross-link the gelatin onto the rice surface. And this actually goes by cross-linking some of the amino acids within the proteins to make a sort of network. And this is kind of relevant to the research that I do, not necessarily in the biological realm, but in the polymer network field.
What
Um,
does that mean?
yeah. So we're basically making a net. We're coating the rice with a net that can then trap the cells
Oh,
that
okay.
we culture them. So then these modified rice are cultured with stem cells, specifically bovine myoblasts and adipose tissue derived mesenchymal stem cells. And these cells actually grow on the surface of the rice and inside the pores of the rice. And what I found really interesting is that, you know, for 100 grams of protein, in terms of beef, we use 50 kilograms of water. In terms of rice, for 100 grams of protein, we use 6 kilograms. In terms of costs, $15 per kilogram for beef, $2 per kilogram for rice. Do you know how much lab-grown meat is costing right now? $63 per kilogram. Oh. So it's, it's more than twice, if not more than 3 times the cost of beef. But what they've been able to do is actually increase the protein content of this rice by 8%. And even though that might not be too much or too big, the way that they make these rice coated with beef cells actually takes a bunch of time away from, or a bunch of time less than what you would take in terms of like racing cattle and feeding them to to the point where they've been able to slaughter, and in a way is a way to also use stem cells which can proliferate abundantly and cost effectively. All this, this whole treatment of the rice with beef cells actually just ends up, or at least that's what they claim. They said that it only adds 3 cents to the cost of the overall rice. And for 3 cents, having an 8% increase in protein, like I said, a lot of rice gets eaten in the whole world, and this can be a great step in the right direction in terms of food security for underdeveloped countries. And when they say they talk about the rice, and they say that the rice is a little bit more brittle, but it has those umami flavors. So they said that it has notes of almond, nutty, nutty umami, almond, coconut, very interesting, beef, obviously, and a little bit of chicken too. So, but I mean, I guess it did a taste test, and I'd be really curious to see. And it's pink, it's pretty, it's Barbie themed.
It's Barbie themed.
But yeah, I thought that was really cool. And the cell culturing process actually takes 10 days, so it doesn't take too long. And what I also thought was really cool, and for the scientists in the audience, the actual amino acid sequence is arginine, glycine, aspartic acid, which actually binds the cells to gelatin. So it's an RGD polypeptide. The gelatin actually acts as an extracellular matrix mimic. And the way that they were actually able to confirm the coding on the rice was through Raman spectroscopy. So for any chemists in the audience,
ramen, I thought that was noodles?
Yeah. I know, right? Yeah. But yeah, no, Raman spectroscopy actually looks at the bending vibrations of chemical bonds on the surfaces of, materials. And you can actually get different signals depending on how they bind to each other. Bet you didn't know that.
Didn't know any of that.
That was Alexis the Science Gay. Yay! We might need to get a better name for that. But
we'll figure that out.
Stay in touch.
That was a lot of great information that I didn't fully, get, but I got it.
You got it. Yeah.
I got the general idea. And I think it'll be so exciting to continue to kind of dive into all of these different science topics and really learn a little bit more, me, obviously, and the audience here learn a little bit more about maybe things that they weren't too aware of, because that is something that's super, super interesting. And especially whenever you relate it back to food insecurity, love that, because we see that everywhere, and there's so much waste too. So being able to have something as, I guess, a food source as plentiful, as rice, and be able to kind of increase the protein on it by 8%.
The protein content,
Yes, that's great.
Yeah.
I'm imagining that in my Chipotle bowl right now.
I know. Oh my god, a pink Chipotle bowl? That'd be crazy.
That'd be crazy with the meat and everything. Wow. That's a lot of protein. Actually, the bulking heads,
pink
they're gonna love
fried rice. Stop it. Stop it. That'd be so cute. Yes.
Make a little curry on top of it.
Oh,
listen, we're good. After this podcast, we're
starting a restaurant. The Wingstop's on the way.
We're starting a restaurant.
Yeah, we're starting a restaurant. Yo, I'm gonna hit up my friends in Seoul. Like, hey, let's go.
Looks like we gotta go get a ticket.
Yes.
We're out of here.
Sarang hey to that rice.
I thought we didn't travel. I thought we only hosted.
Y'all gotta fly us out.
Period. Boom, bam, bam, boom, boom. Whoop. Didn't see you there. Well, that was only for the people who are watching the video right now. But if you're listening and watching the video, I guess, thanks for tuning in to Looking with Alexis and Cole, our second episode. We had a lot of fun talking about and sharing some of our embarrassing stories revolving around kind of guilt, shame, and even talking a little bit more with Alexis the Science Gay about proteins growing on rice and making it pink. But hey, whatever it is that you've been looking for,
it's right here, baby!
Woo! See you next time.